Regan, the concept of the harness duels, what does it actually mean to you?
It's sort of the pinnacle of the season, really. It's you know, if you get all the results, it goes on money earned. So you know, every horse deserves its spot.
So like a grand final day?
That's what it is, really.
Yeah. First Class Lady had its first half a dozen starts for a bloke called Barry Purdon. It's hard to argue that you haven't improved it off him, although it's not really like that, is it?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. And that's the thing, they come down here for a reason, obviously a bit stale and that, so yeah, it's just probably the change of environment that. I think Baron that quite liked early on, like she went out favourite first two starts, so and maybe anything's probably a little bit easier to start with down here, so yeah. She
trialled up really nicely and then set a New Zealand record over the 1980, which of course I think was the first night they ever ran over that distance at Addington, but you had her ready to go then.
Yeah. She went off a bit around Christmas time, so she has had a bit of a freshen up, and yeah, if hopefully we can hold her spot and we'll have her spot on for the duels.
Half a length First Class Lady. Davinia Belez is getting up the lane. Stately still in front. Margin ahead, First Class Lady. Davinia Beleza. It's First Class Lady just in front of Davinia Beleza, and First Class Lady got there by a neck at the end.
Whilst you don't have any direct influence, if you like, on a couple of rugby stars, it must be pretty cool to train for them.
Yeah, I've never met the boys yet, and even Dave Hewitt, he's the coach of the Stags, so that's a bit of a thrill. So you might be able to get a bit of stag gear off him one day.
Yeah, well, the Woodlands team have been a huge supporter, and of course Andy Ellis and Kieran Reid. So you know, they've had great success with the likes of Speeding Spur, and now they've been pushed to the forefront again with this girl.
Yeah, so hopefully we can get her there, Greg. That'll be real pleasing if we can make the big day.
Sam Otley and Regan Todd from Woodend Beach for the Woodlands Partnership Syndicate number 2, also Kieran Reid and Andy Ellis.
Regan, Sam Otley, she's been associated with your stable for a wee while, and she's already had dual success for Mark Jones with Rocker Band, and she's a genuinely very good horse person.
Yeah, she's had a great record on her. Mark Farrell won the other race in a juniors race, of course, but Sam's driven her most of the way through. Nathan Williamson had a couple of drives down south, but 4-year-old mares, Rocker Band, so hopefully we can do the same.
And here's Rocker Band, Sam Otley with a barnstorming run down the outside. Rocker Band expressive, Victor Late, Rocker Band in 1:53.
Lone Star Lad came from a master horseman, and Colin DeFilippi trains alongside Julie, so they must have done a pretty good job before he turned up here.
Oh, definitely. It was a tough task to follow. So, yeah, he's just like the environment around here. I think there's something different, and like we were talking about earlier, he sometimes thinks the race is over when it's not. So, just probably change the environment, sort of got him going a bit more, you know.
And the straight line training on the beach has huge benefits, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely, especially those trotters, they sort of get sick of going round and round, but yeah, Lone Star Lad is definitely in good form, and I got him anyway.
Lone Star Lad in front, Foreigners a neck away, having a late dip. Lone Star Lad ahead in front, he's trotting roughly, Foreigners coming through, post comes up, Lone Star Lad won it. Lone Star Lad beat Foreigners.
Well, the benefits of training on the beach has probably meant that you've ended up with a lot more horses, quality horses, than perhaps if you trained anywhere else, and Lone Star Lad is a fair animal.
Yeah, he's been Mr. Consistent since we got him, so there hasn't been many times he's run out of the top 3 or 4, so yeah, he's a little bit off the money wise at the moment, but yeah, he'll nearly get there.
He's going to get his chance though, I'm sure that's the case, and he's never missed a top 3 while he's been with you, Regan, so I think you're underestimating here, or downplaying your ability anyway.
Yeah, no, he has been very good this whole time, and so I think we've got a few chinks that we can still make him a little bit better, so yeah, it'll be good if we can get him there.
What about the challenges of training on the beach? Because it's very much tide dependent. Does that make it more difficult, or is it just about planning better?
It's just about planning it better on the day, I reckon. Sometimes it varies, like what you work and what times. You know, sometimes it could be hard and fast, and sometimes it takes a bit out of them, so yeah, you just got to work it out as you go, really.
She's a busy old beach out there with David and Catherine Butt, the Dunns, Greg Hope, Matt Anderson. She's like a train station at times, isn't it?
Yeah, you're going to need some stop-go lights shortly, but like you say, all those names you mentioned, you've always got someone to ask if you're not quite sure on something.
Is that part of the modus that Regan Todd is, that you're always learning and always happy to learn off others?
Oh, definitely. If you sort of didn't look at it that way, you're not going to go far, so I always look at learning and trying different things.
What would it mean to win a harness duels and at what is effectively your home track these days?
Yeah, it'd be unreal. It'd be, yeah, it'd be really top the season off. We could pull that off.